Hello, my friends. Today I want to share with you a very special day from my life. It was the day I visited the zoo. This happened last Saturday. It was one of the happiest days I can remember. I saw so many beautiful animals. Some were very big, some were very small. Some were quiet and calm. Some were loud and playful. While you listen to my story, you will learn simple English words. You will learn how to describe animals. You will learn how to talk about a day out. This will help you speak English more easily in your daily life. So, let's start my story. It was Saturday morning. I woke up very early. The time was 6:30 inches the morning. I opened my eyes slowly. I could see the sunlight coming through my window. The sky outside was blue and clear. Not a single cloud. The weather looked perfect. I felt so excited. My heart was beating fast with happiness. Because today I was going to the zoo. I had been waiting for this day all week. I got out of bed. I stretched my arms high above my head. I felt fresh and full of energy. Then I walked to the bathroom. I washed my face with cool water. The water felt nice and refreshing. Then I brushed my teeth carefully. I looked at myself in the mirror and smiled. I said to myself, today is going to be a great day. After that, I went to my room to get dressed. I opened my closet. I looked at my clothes. I wanted to wear something comfortable. I chose my favorite yellow t-shirt. It is bright and cheerful. I also put on my blue jeans. They are soft and easy to walk in. I wore my white sneakers. They are very comfortable for walking. Then I went to the kitchen. I made a simple breakfast. I ate 2 pieces of toast with butter. I also drank a glass of orange juice. While I was eating, I thought about all the animals I would see. Lions, elephants, monkeys, birds. I felt so happy thinking about it. After breakfast, I prepared my backpack. My backpack is small and green. I like it very much. I packed a bottle of water. I knew I would get thirsty during the day. I also packed a cheese sandwich wrapped in paper. I packed a banana and an apple. I put in my camera. I wanted to take many photos. I also packed my sunglasses and a hat. The sun was very strong today. I looked at the clock. It was 7:45. Time to go. I put on my backpack. I locked the door of my house. I started walking to the bus stop. The morning air was fresh and cool. I could hear birds singing in the trees. I could see people walking their dogs. I could smell fresh bread from a bakery nearby. Everything felt peaceful and beautiful. I reached the bus stop in 5 minutes. A few people were already waiting there. An old man was reading a newspaper. A young woman was talking on her phone. A mother was holding her little daughter's hand. The little girl had a red balloon. She looked very happy. I stood and waited. I looked at my watch. The bus would come in 3 minutes. Soon, I heard a sound. The bus was coming. It was a big red bus. It stopped in front of us. The door opened. I got on the bus. I said good morning to the driver. He smiled and said good morning back. I showed him my bus card. He nodded. I walked inside and looked for a seat. I found a seat by the window. I sat down and put my backpack on my lap. the bus started moving. I looked outside the window. We passed many shops. A flower shop with colorful flowers outside. A small café with people drinking coffee. A bookstore with big windows full of books. We also passed houses with gardens. I saw a man watering his plants. I saw children playing with a ball on the street. We passed a small park. People were jogging. Some were sitting on benches reading. Some were feeding birds. The bus ride took about 25 minutes. I enjoyed every moment. I listened to the sound of the bus engine. I watched the world go by outside. Finally, the bus slowed down. The driver said, "Zoo stop." I stood up quickly. I said, "Thank you," to the driver. I got off the bus. I was standing in front of the zoo entrance. I looked around. The entrance was beautiful. It was big and colorful. There was a large sign that said, "Welcome to the zoo," in big letters. The letters were red, yellow, and green. Below the sign were pictures of animals. A lion with a big mane, an elephant with a long trunk, a parrot with bright feathers, a zebra with black and white stripes. Many people were standing in line, families with children, couples holding hands, groups of friends laughing and talking. Some children were holding balloons. Some were eating ice cream. Everyone looked excited and happy. I walked to the ticket counter. There was a small line. I waited patiently. After a few minutes, it was my turn. Behind the counter was a friendly lady. She had a warm smile. She was wearing a green uniform with the zoo logo on it. She looked at me and said, "Good morning. Welcome to the zoo." I smiled back and said, "Good morning." She asked, "How can I help you today?" I said, "I would like to buy one ticket, please." She said, "Sure, one adult ticket. That will be $10. I opened my wallet. I took out a $10 bill. I gave it to her. She took the money. She printed my ticket. She handed it to me with a small map of the zoo. She said, "Here is your ticket and a map. The entrance is through that big gate over there." She pointed to a tall gate with animal statues on both sides. She said, "Have a wonderful visit." I said, "Thank you very much." She smiled again and said, "Enjoy." I took my ticket and the map. I walked toward the entrance gate. My heart was beating with excitement. When I walked through the gate, I stopped for a moment. I looked around. The zoo was beautiful. There were tall trees everywhere, green grass, colorful flowers, small paths made of stone, signs pointing to different animal areas. I could hear sounds, birds singing, animals calling, children laughing, water flowing from a fountain. The air smelled fresh. It smelled like grass and trees. It smelled like nature. I took a deep breath. I felt so happy. I was finally inside the zoo. I opened the map. I looked at it carefully. There were so many animals to see. I decided to start with the lions. I followed the signs. I walked along a small path. The path was shaded by big trees. I could hear leaves rustling in the wind. After walking for a few minutes, I reached the lion area. There was a big sign that said, "Lions." Below the sign was a picture of a lion's face. I walked closer. There was a large open space with rocks and grass. And there they were, the lions. There were 3 lions. 2 were lying on the ground in the warm sun. Their fur was golden and shiny. Their eyes were half closed. They looked calm but strong. One lion was bigger than the others. He had a thick, dark mane around his neck. He looked like the king of the jungle. The 3rd lion was walking slowly near the rocks. He stopped. He lifted his head. He opened his mouth wide. And then he roared. It was a deep, loud sound, so powerful. I felt it in my chest. Everyone around me stopped and looked. Some children covered their ears. But everyone was smiling. I took out my camera. I took a photo of the big lion. He looked directly at the camera. It felt like he was looking at me. I smiled. I felt so lucky to see such a beautiful animal. I stayed there for a few more minutes. I watched the lions. They were magnificent. Then I walked to the next area, the elephant area. When I arrived, I saw a large space with trees, water, and mud. And there they were, the elephants. There were 4 elephants. They were huge, much bigger than I imagined. Their skin was gray and wrinkled. Their ears were big like fans. Their trunks were long and flexible. One elephant was eating grass. It used its trunk to pull the grass from the ground. Then it put the grass into its mouth. It chewed slowly. Another elephant was standing near a small pool of water. It dipped its trunk into the water. Then it lifted its trunk and sprayed water all over its back. The water sparkled in the sunlight. And then I saw the baby elephant. It was small compared to the adults, but still quite big. It had tiny tusks. Its skin was lighter than the others. It was playing in the mud. It rolled on its side. Mud covered its body. It looked so happy and playful. People around me were laughing. Children were pointing and clapping. I took many photos. The baby elephant was so cute. I stood there watching for a long time. The elephants were gentle and peaceful. They moved slowly and gracefully. After that, I walked to the monkey area. I could hear them before I saw them. Loud sounds, screeching, chattering. When I arrived, I saw a big space full of trees, ropes, and wooden platforms. And there were monkeys everywhere. Small monkeys, medium monkeys. Some had long tails, some had short tails. Their fur was brown or gray. They were full of energy. They were jumping from tree to tree. They were swinging on ropes. They were chasing each other. One monkey was hanging upside down from a branch. It was holding a banana in its hand. It peeled the banana with its other hand. Then it ate it while hanging upside down. It looked so funny. I laughed out loud. Another monkey was grooming its friend. It was picking through its fur very carefully. It looked so gentle and caring. One baby monkey was clinging to its mother's belly. The mother jumped from one branch to another. The baby held on tightly. It looked safe and comfortable. Children around me were laughing and pointing. Everyone was enjoying the monkeys. They were the most playful animals I had seen so far. I took many photos. I stayed there for almost 15 minutes. I didn't want to leave. but there were still many animals to see. Next, I went to the bird area. It was called the Tropical Bird Garden. When I walked in, I felt like I entered a different world. It was a large covered space. There were tall trees inside, colorful flowers, small waterfalls, and birds everywhere. The air was warm and humid. I could hear the sound of water flowing. I could hear birds singing. I looked up. I saw parrots sitting on branches. Their feathers were so colorful: red, green, yellow, blue, orange. They looked like rainbows. One parrot was cleaning its feathers. Another was eating seeds from a small bowl. One parrot made a loud sound. It sounded like it was laughing. I also saw small birds with blue feathers. They flew from tree to tree very fast. Their wings made a soft, fluttering sound. I saw a white bird with a long tail. It looked elegant and graceful. I stood in the middle of the garden. I closed my eyes for a moment. I listened to the sounds. Birds singing, water flowing, leaves rustling. It felt so peaceful. I took a deep breath. I felt calm and happy. I took many photos of the colorful parrots. I wished I could stay there forever. But I had to move on. Next, I went to see the time. Giraffes. The giraffe area was open and wide. There were tall trees scattered around, and there they were, the giraffes. They were so tall, taller than I imagined. Their necks were long and graceful. Their skin had brown patches with light lines between them. Their legs were long and thin. They had big, gentle eyes and small horns on their heads. There were 3 giraffes. 2 were eating leaves from the top of a tall tree. They stretched their necks high. They used their long tongues to pull the leaves. Their tongues were dark and very long. One giraffe was bending down to drink water from a small pond. It had to spread its front legs wide apart. It looked a bit awkward but also very cute. I watched them for a long time. They moved slowly and calmly. They didn't make any noise. They just ate and walked peacefully. I took photos. I smiled. They were beautiful creatures. Near the giraffes, I saw the zebras. There were 5 zebras in a grassy area. Their black and white stripes were so clear and beautiful. Each zebra had a different pattern. No 2 were exactly the same. They were walking together. One zebra was eating grass. Another was shaking its head to chase away flies. A baby zebra was walking close to its mother. It stayed right by her side. It looked safe and happy. The mother zebra gently touched the baby with her nose. It was a sweet moment. I took a photo of the mother and baby. It was one of my favorite photos of the day. After that, I walked to the penguin area. The penguin area was different. It was cold inside. The floor was covered with ice and snow. There was a large pool of cold, clear water, and there were penguins everywhere. They were small and round. They had black backs and white bellies. Their little wings looked like flippers. They had orange feet. They walked in a funny way. They waddled from side to side. Some penguins were standing together. They made soft sounds. It sounded like they were talking to each other. Some penguins were swimming in the water. They swam very fast. They dived under the water and came back up. They looked so happy and playful. One penguin climbed onto a rock. Then it jumped into the water with a big splash. Everyone watching laughed. I stood there watching them for a long time. They were so cute and funny. I couldn't stop smiling. I took many photos. I wished I could touch them, but I knew I couldn't. Next, I visited the crocodile area. It was near a small river. The area had rocks, mud, and water, and there it was, the crocodile. It was lying very still near the edge of the water. Its skin was dark green and rough. It looked like the bark of a tree. It had a long tail and a big, flat body. Its eyes were half open. It looked like it was sleeping, but I knew it was watching. Then, slowly, it opened its mouth. I could see its sharp teeth. So many teeth, big and white and dangerous. I felt a little scared, but I was also fascinated. I stayed far from the fence. I took a photo from a safe distance. The crocodile closed its mouth again. It didn't move. It looked like a statue. I stayed for a few more minutes. Then I moved on. Finally, I went to see the flamingos. The flamingo area had a shallow pond. The water was calm and clear, and there were flamingos everywhere. They were tall and graceful. Their feathers were bright pink. Some were light pink. Some were dark pink. Their legs were long and thin. Their necks were curved like the letter S. They stood in the water very still. They looked like they were posing for a picture. Some flamingos were dipping their beaks into the water. They were searching for food. One flamingo lifted one leg and stood on the other. It looked so elegant. The sunlight made their pink feathers glow. It was one of the most beautiful sights of the day. I took many photos. I stood there for a long time. I didn't want to leave. By now, I was starting to feel tired and hungry. I looked at my watch. It was 12:30 in the afternoon. Time for lunch. I walked toward the zoo café. It was a small building with tables and chairs outside. There were umbrellas giving shade. Families were sitting and eating. Children were laughing. It looked friendly and welcoming. I walked inside. There was a counter with a menu on the wall. A kind lady was standing behind the counter. She was wearing an apron. She had a friendly smile. She said, "Hello, what would you like to eat today?" I looked at the menu. There were sandwiches, pizza, hot dogs, salads, and ice cream. I said, "I would like a chicken sandwich, please." She said, "Sure. Would you like anything to drink?" I said, "Yes, please. Orange juice." She said, "Okay. One chicken sandwich and one orange juice. That will be $6. I gave her the money. She said, "Thank you. Your order will be ready in a few minutes. You can sit outside." I said, "Thank you." I went outside and found a table under an umbrella. I sat down. I put my backpack on the chair next to me. I looked around. People were eating and talking. A little boy was eating a slice of pizza. A girl was licking an ice cream cone. An old couple was sharing a salad. Everyone looked happy. After a few minutes, the lady called my name. I went to the counter. She handed me my sandwich and juice with a smile. She said, "Enjoy your meal." I said, "Thank you very much." I went back to my table. I unwrapped the sandwich. It smelled delicious. It had chicken, lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise. I took a bite. It was very tasty, fresh and soft. I drank the orange juice. It was cold and sweet. It tasted so good. I ate slowly. I enjoyed every bite. I felt the cool breeze. I listened to the sounds around me. Children laughing, birds singing, water flowing from a nearby fountain. I felt peaceful and happy. After I finished eating, I rested for a few minutes. I drank some water from my bottle. I looked at the photos on my camera. Lions, elephants, monkeys, birds, giraffes, zebras, penguins, crocodile, flamingos. Each photo brought back a memory. I felt so grateful for this wonderful day. After resting, I decided to walk around the zoo one more time. I walked along the paths. I saw beautiful flowers, red roses, yellow sunflowers, purple orchids. I saw butterflies flying around. One butterfly landed on a flower near me. It had orange and black wings. It was so delicate and beautiful. I saw small ponds with fish swimming. I saw benches where people were sitting and resting. The afternoon sun was warm. The sky was still clear and blue. I felt calm. I felt happy. I felt alive. After walking for about 30 minutes, I looked at my watch. It was 2:30 inches the afternoon. I had been at the zoo for almost 5 hours. I had seen so many animals. I had taken so many photos. I had eaten good food. I had enjoyed nature. But now it was time to go home. I walked slowly toward the exit. I looked around one more time. I wanted to remember everything. I could still hear the sounds of the animals, the roar of the lions, the chatter of the monkeys, the singing of the birds. I walked through the exit gate. I turned around. I waved goodbye. As if the animals could see me, I walked to the bus stop. I waited for a few minutes. The bus came. I got on. I sat by the window again. I looked at my camera. I scrolled through the photos. Each one made me smile. The bus ride home felt short. I was tired but very happy. When I reached my stop, I got off the bus. I walked home slowly. When I arrived home, I unlocked the door. I went inside. I put my backpack down. I took off my shoes. I sat on the sofa. I felt tired but satisfied. I looked at my photos again on my camera. I smiled. It was a day I would never forget. A day full of animals, full of colors, full of joy, full of nature. That was my wonderful day at the zoo. Now, my friends, I want to ask you, have you ever been to a zoo? What animals did you see? What was your favorite animal? Try to tell someone about it in English. The more you practice, the better you will become. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some new English words. See you in the next lesson. Goodbye, my friends.